Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I want to begin with a compliment, Mr. Secretary, to you and the President for the quality of the generals that you are nominating and asking to lead our military. That many have come through this. They've all come through this committee, and very impressive. General Dunford, on March 19th, there was a Marine Corps Staff Sergeant, part of BLT 26 Artillery Marine, who was killed in Iraq. Was he killed in action? Killed in combat?
He was killed in combat, Senator.
We had in January, a staff sergeant from the 19th Special Forces Group was killed in Afghanistan. Was he killed in combat?
Master Sergeant Wheeler was killed in combat, Senator.
When our JSOC troops conduct CT missions in that part of the world, are they conducting combat operations?
They are, Senator.
How about when our F-22s, F-16s, A-10s are doing bombing missions in Iraq and Syria? Are they conducting combat missions?
They are, Senator.
So, Mr. Secretary, my question is pretty simple. It's the President, the White House spokesman, even just this past week, whenever they talk about our troops in the Middle East, they go to great lengths, and this is a quote from the President, "They will not involve American combat troops fighting on foreign soil." This is the White House spokesman recently. Our troops are not in a combat role. Why does the administration go through these crazy somersaults that the entire country knows is not correct to say our troops are not in combat when they're in combat? The chairman of the Joint Chiefs just stated that pretty much everybody in the Middle East is in combat. So why does the President not level with the American people? Why does the White House spokesman continue to just say they're not in combat? I think one thing, and I'd like to answer that question, but I also think it diminishes the sacrifice of our troops and their families to, we know they're in combat. Why can't we level with the American people and say they're in combat? The chairman just did.
Yeah, I'm going to associate myself with the chairman. These people are in combat, Senator, and I think that we need to say that clearly. I don't know what statements you're quoting, but I can well imagine that the point being made is to describe the strategy that I described earlier, which is to not to try to substitute for local forces, but to get back to Senator Donnelly's point, to try to get them powerful enough that they can expel ISIL with our support. And when we provide that support, we put people in harm's way. We ask them to conduct combat actions. I mean, a pilot flying over
dropping bombs.
Iraq, dropping bombs is certainly in that circumstance.
So I think
that's what's being gotten at. But I
think it'd be useful to maybe pass on from your two perspectives to the White House, to the President, to his spokespeople, to the people who background the press. I mean, even last week, 250 new Special Forces troops going to the Middle East, but they're not in combat roles. Well, that's actually not true. I think leveling with this committee, leveling with the American people is very useful. I know the two of you are doing that, but if you can pass that message on to the President and his spokespeople in the White House, I think that would be useful. I want to turn to follow-up.
Can I thank you, by the way, for what you said about the unbelievable officers
it's not just
that we
General
have?
It's
It's
General Milley.
a whole bunch of them. We're country's blessed.
I'd like to turn to follow-up on Senator Cotton's line of questionings. And, I'm going to hand out a document here that shows a little bit more detail what's going on in the South China Sea, as you're well aware, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman. But there's a lot of concern that the Scarborough Shoal has very important strategic significance with regard to what some people are calling a strategic triangle in the South China Sea. The Chinese have already established two legs of that triangle. The fighters and radars are part of that radius that you see around the Scarborough Shoal. What is the strategic significance if the Chinese do start to build up the military capability on that island, particularly being so close to the Philippines? And what are our plans if they do begin that kind of militarization or even buildup of the island? And do we have a plan to respond to the UN tribunal ruling that's expected in June with regard to China's excessive maritime claims? There's a lot going on there, and I'd appreciate just an answer to those questions.
Sure, there is, and I should say also thank you for your role and leadership in this part of the world. It's a critical one. And you know, the Middle East is in the headlines all the time, and justifiably so, but this is the region where half of humankind lives and half of the world's economy, so it's critical. And your map's absolutely accurate. And the to get to your various questions, the United States is reacting. That's what our rebalance is all about. There are many things that we work with China on, but there are certain aspects of Chinese behavior that are very disturbing to us. They're deeply disturbing to countries in the region, which has them all coming to us and is having the effect of causing self-isolation by China. We are reacting ourselves, and we are being increasingly invited to work with countries, long-standing allies and strong allies like the Philippines, and that's where the sites you see and correctly have on the map here come in, but also new partners like Vietnam. I was in India a week and a half ago, many of them concerned about Chinese behavior. And I'll just finally—
Well, Mr. Secretary, I'm sorry to cut you off here,
No,
but the strategic significance of the Scarborough Shoal right now in the South China Sea, there's a lot going on there. You were just there. Can you comment on that?
Well, it's a piece of disputed territory that, like other disputes in that region, has the potential to lead to military conflict. That's particularly concerning to us, given its proximity to the Philippines. But we have the same view about all these disputes. And by the way, even though China is by far and away in the recent times the greatest reclaimer and militarization of disputed features, other countries are doing it as well. And just I don't represent our diplomatic position, but our diplomatic position, to get back to what you said about the tribunal, is that these disputes ought to be settled peacefully, and one of the ways of doing that is through the tribunal.